Stephen A., Bart, and D. Wood here for this one. Damian, I'm going to start with you. Should Dallas fans feel better or worse after that press conference?
Worse. I mean, listen, there was nothing. First of all, there's nothing that Mike McCarthy could say in that particular moment that would make Dallas fans feel any better or feel in any kind of way that they're closer to a world championship. After you just got dismantled on national TV by the youngest team in the National Football League in the Green Bay Packers, okay? This is the same Dallas Cowboys. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, well, look at all the statistics. Look at all the accolades, the individual accolades the Dallas Cowboys got. Dak Prescott had MVP-type stats. You know, CeeDee Lamb, you could make a case for Offensive Player of the Year. All the all-pros that they had on both sides of the ball. All of that so you can get totally destroyed by the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. I mean, they look totally outcoached, totally outclassed. They look like they weren't ready to play from the beginning. And so a lot of that is on coaching. And so for anyone out there that talks about Mike McCarthy and bringing back Mike McCarthy was the right idea, was a smart thing to do, a lot of this has to do with continuity. We hear that word all the time, continuity, continuity, continuity. But Bart, sometimes you know this, man. Sometimes you understand it. Some people come into your life for a season, okay? And I look at Mike McCarthy and what he's done for the Dallas Cowboys. He's been there for a certain season. But sometimes you got to bring somebody in there to elevate you above what's been going on with Dallas. Because I can tell you right now, yes, he's accumulated a lot of regular season, wins. But that's not what it's about when it comes to the star and down in Dallas. Down there, it's about championships. We've heard Jerry Jones. That's what the owners talked about. The owners said it. The owners said, listen, we want to win championships. I don't have much time left. Okay, so if you talk about you don't have much time left, what is Mike McCarthy doing to get you closer to a championship? I haven't seen it. There hasn't been much playoff success. So as far as bringing him back, I'm just not a fan of it.
I mean, when you talk about, is it about championships? It hasn't been about championships in a long time. It's been about winning the offseason, winning the back pages, right? For me, you talk about bringing in a championship. You got a championship program, but you don't have a championship culture because it's too comfortable over there, right? And I think going with McCarthy is just keeping it comfortable. It's keeping things as the status quo. They need to get uncomfortable over there because this isn't isolated to just a McCarthy thing. This is a Jason Garrett thing. Right, so this lets me know it's not about the coaches per se. It's about the environment that's cultivated over there. Everybody's a little bit too comfortable. Everybody gets and appreciates everything that comes with wearing a star, but they don't understand what it's like to be immortalized. They don't understand how to live up to the standard that Jimmy Johnson set, that Emmitt Smith set, that the playmakers set. Right? It's crazy that I saw more passing than Jimmy Johnson. I was concerned, man. I thought Jimmy Johnson was going to have a heart attack or a stroke during halftime. But he had more passion, more heart than everybody on that roster had. And this was, it was said from Joe Buck and Troy Aikman from the start. Something seems off with Dallas today. And when the pressure gets, high, it seems like Dak Prescott shrinks. And they got to have a real conversation about giving this man $60 million because we talk about that credit card bill being due and talk about paying all these guys, top of the market. That means for CeeDee Lamb, he's going to ask for more than what Tyreek Hill got. That means Michael Parsons. That means he's going to ask for more than what Nick Bosa got. That means that you won't be able to fill some of these holes, these major holes that you have. And you better bring some high character, tough guys in here, man, because these guys are not, they're not strong or mentally or physically when it comes down to it.
I was incredibly disappointed with Jerry Jones electing to keep Mike McCarthy because I felt lied to. I felt the world was lied to. When we bring up his mortality, and I saw people a bit uncomfortable with you, Bart Scott, this morning, when you were bringing up his mortality, you were right, they were wrong. Because you weren't bringing up his mortality as you were trying to push him into the grave. You were acknowledging that Jerry Jones keeps bringing up his own mortality and the fact that he believes he's closer to the end. He is the one who has said that. He is the one who has attached the level of urgency to it. He is the one that said he would give anything to win another Super Bowl before his days are over. That wasn't Bart Scott doing that or anybody else. That was Jerry Jones himself. And so to know that And to know that you messed up for 9.5 years with Jason Garrett as your coach, and to just show the popularity of the NFL, of the Dallas Cowboys specifically, not to knock him because I think he does a good job on NBC, but considering what his record was as head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, how the hell you get the job on NBC? That's a different question for another day, okay? Because I saw in the 9+ years that Jason Garrett was the head coach, 4 times he finished 8-8. Another couple of times he finished below 500. And about 3 or 4 times he had a winning record, okay? And so I'm looking at this and I'm saying you were supposed to learn your lesson. And you're bringing a Super Bowl champion coach in Mike McCarthy, who's now 14 years and counting, chasing his 2nd Super Bowl. Between him and Bill Parcells, Super Bowl champions at head coach, your playoff record is a combined 1-5. Here's my thing, though. Having said that, in terms of my disappointment with Jerry Jones and electing to stay with this as opposed to going all out to getting somebody like Bill Belichick, who's a 6-time champion, who you know would make folks uncomfortable and would be about accountability when it came to the players. Here's my problem. I cannot tell you how utterly disgusted I was when I almost lost it at the end of First Take yesterday when I heard Mike McCarthy said, yeah, you got a championship culture here. I'm like, what? What the hell is he talking about? I think they should have literally grabbed him off the podium and took him for a drug test. I think they should have took him for a drug test instantly because it made no sense to me. How could you possibly say that? You got back-to-back 12-win seasons, and you're the first team in NFL history that's had 3 12-win seasons, and you can't sit up there and get to a conference championship games. Now let's take into account history. The merger from 1970 to 1995. The Dallas Cowboys won 5 of 8 Super Bowls they were in. 14 NFC championship games appearances in 26 years. And ain't been back since. Ain't been back since. What type of damn championship culture are you talking about? What the hell is that about? I don't recall that. He has nothing to do with it. And so when I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at a guy who can coach, who has won a Super Bowl championship, who did get the Green Bay Packers to 4 conference championship games, so give credit where credit is due. For you to sit up there and say you know how to win when you've got the last 4 years to lean on to show that you must have forgot was really, really appalling to me. And when you take into account the fact that you've been coaching for 17 years, your quarterbacks, how many people can say this, y'all? Your quarterbacks in your entire career, 17 years as a head coach, was Brett Favre, Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers will be a Hall of Famer, and Dak Prescott. Those are your starting quarterbacks. And you have 1 Super Bowl title, 1 Super Bowl appearance to show for it. I'm sorry. You can't be talking like that, especially after you just got beat down. You were down 48. I don't want to hear no final score 48-32. You were down 48-16 to a team that you were favored against with 6 minutes left in a 4th quarter against a quarterback playing in his very first playoff game and against a defense that was getting their ass kicked on several occasions this season. And they boat raced you, to use Jeff Saturday's phrase. I mean, that's just disgraceful. For him to utter those words, you got a championship culture here. We just haven't gotten over a championship culture. That's what you said? Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Stephen A., listen, I think for me, and I want everybody to know this, I'm not sitting here calling Mike McCarthy a scrub. He's not a scrub. He's a good coach. He's a good coach.
Not great.
He's a good coach. But here's my question. Like, we constantly talk about with Dallas, they talk about a standard, a championship standard. My question would be, what has Mike McCarthy done to get the Dallas Cowboys closer to a championship? Yeah. I'm not talking about all these guys that statistically have had great seasons. We know that. Yeah. We know Dak has played great. We know CeeDee Lamb has played great. All of those guys. But then in the moment of truth, they come out and lay an egg. And a lot of it has to go back to coaching. And that's why I sit here and say, Mike McCarthy is not the guy to get you over the hump, to get you to a championship.
Well, I just think it's negligence not to bring in some of these great coaches that we know have been able to coach at a high level, to bring them in and just see what they would do and how they see the Cowboys. It's good to get that data, even if you decide to go with Mike McCarthy. And we talk about, listen, when you look at, Tony Dungy, right? He was in Tampa and they were a model of consistency. But it took John Gruden to get him over the hump. We're talking about winning championships, not about, being a stable organization. It's about going from good to great. And sometimes you got to make people uncomfortable, and you do that by changing everybody.